Good evening, everyone. A very warm welcome to each one of you joining us today for this highly relevant and insightful webinar on data visualization for non-profit organizations. I'm Prasanthi Sudhakar, your host for today's session, and I'm absolutely delighted to have you all here with us today. Vayam is a registered under Societies Registration Act 1860 and with 12A and 80G certificates. Vayam, part of Sambodhi, shares a vision of building resilient communities through community-driven action. Focused on health, livelihood and agriculture, Vayam works to improve capacities, foster inclusion and create sustainable impact. Their approach combines local solutions, cross-sector collaborations, and adaptive management to empower vulnerable communities and promote development across multiple states in India. With over 20 years of experience in the sector, we build upon the strong foundation of Sambodhi, India's largest data-driven social impact organization. Sambodhi's core values of accountability, transparency, and a focus on measurable impact provide essential support to Vayam. Guided by principles of participation and collaboration, we believe that every individual's rights are equal and should be upheld, ensuring inclusivity in every aspect of our work. We are committed to balancing growth and equity, with equity serving as the cornerstone of our approach. Collaboration is at the heart of our operations. By partnering with grassroots civil society organizations, we ensure the delivery of impactful solutions. Our capacity building efforts focus on optimizing the potential of individuals and organizations to sustain and expand these changes. Let me now start by setting the stage for the webinar by introducing our topic. Data visualization is the process of representing data in a visual context, such as charts, graphs, maps, or infographics, to make the information easier to understand and analyze. By turning complex data sets into visual formats, data visualization helps reveal patterns, trends, and insights that might be difficult to identify in raw data. We will understand by using these data visualization tools, NGOs in India can more effectively communicate their impact, increase transparency, attract donors, and make data-driven decisions. And to help us gain some incredible insights and practical strategies, we have a very special guest with us today. Ms. Sandeep Kaur is an accomplished human resource professional with over 15 years of corporate experience spanning multiple industries. With expertise in learning and development, talent management, and organizational development, she has contributed significantly to both organizational growth and individual talent development. Having held leadership roles in prominent, Ms. Kaur has successfully driven numerous initiatives that align business objectives with human capital strategies. In addition to a rich professional background, she holds a master's in business studies from ICFI Tripura, with specialized in advanced human resources from the prestigious Indian Institute of Management, Lucknow. The pursuit of continuous learning led to certification as a master trainer and learning development specialist from the Carlton Advanced Management Institute in the US. With a passion for empowering others and creating impactful learning experiences, Ms. Kaur continues to inspire growth, resilience, and transformation in both personal and professional spheres. Throughout the session, feel free to share your questions in the chat. We'll conclude this session with a very amazing and interesting question and answer session at the end. So don't hold back. Let's keep this interactive. Sandeep, Kaur ma'am, thank you so much for joining us today. We are really looking forward to gaining some powerful insights from you today. And now I hand over the stage to you.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be on this platform again. So I'll quickly share my screen so that we
Sure.
can move on to the session today.
Sure, ma'am.
Hope my screen is visible.
Yeah, it's visible.
So we'll talk about data visualization for non-profit organizations today, and we'll take up few points to discuss in the session. We'll talk about brief understanding upon data visualization, why use data visualization in NGOs. We'll look up to few examples and the challenges and their solutions which organizations are facing while using these data visualization tools. Uh, an important section, key strategies for effective data visualization. And in the end, we will talk about best tools we can use for enhancing our data visualization within the organization. Going forward, as like Prashanti has already set the context for the session that what is data visualization? It is the process of representing data in a visual context. I'll, in a brief, can explain you on that. It works like a bridge between the data and the and the action, which can enable the NGOs, rather any organization, to make a bigger impact in the communities they are serving. It works like a link between the data you have and the actions you want to take in a simpler words. So, how to do it? So, these are the basic charts which we use while presenting our data via data visualization. Like you can see bar charts, line graphs, pie charts. So, bar graphs are used to compare the quantities across different categories. And in a simpler way, line graphs are the most easiest one and most commonly used to show the trends over the time. Pie charts present the proportions for any comparative data. Heat maps usually displays the data values with color coding highlighting the area of interest or rather any kind of segments. Scatter plots shows the relationship between the two variables. So these are the basically and majority wise used few graphs when we are working upon our data visualization. Coming and talking upon the most important aspect, why use data visualization in NGOs? Because usually in NGOs we mostly focus on the actions. We have to serve the society for the better of the people, betterment of the people, for enhancing their living standards, supporting their lifestyles, supporting the underprivileged people, but certainly how to bring that actions in a way where your decisions, where your actions, where you can showcase the work in addition to your resources. So it's very important that you have the proper significance of data supporting to the context of the actions you have taken to work for the society, which is why data visualization has a greater scope in NGOs. So, like we'll talk about, it will help you to improve your communication of impact. How? Visual stories. See, NGOs often work with very complex data related to social issues, funding, and outcomes. And how data visualization helps them? See, if we use visual stories, it becomes very easy for us to convey what we want to convey to our stakeholders, donors, and public. Nobody today has that much of time to read a articles of 100 words, of 200 words. It's more easier when we see a ad or we just read few lines or we see a graph representing some very important insights. It becomes easier for any person whose direct business is not related to your work, Right. So visual storytelling is a very important way of communicating. Like we have often seen ads, just by contributing 20 rupees, you can bring a great impact on somebody's educational journey. Right. I have seen an ad of Dabur Amla. Like recently, I have seen few ads of Colgate, for any organization XYZ who is working for uplifting the educational standards or any social issues upon any social issue. So, storytelling via visuals is more impactful, connects you with an emotional bonding with your stakeholders and donors, and it becomes easier to get their contribution. Going ahead, of course, it brings a better clarity when we see any graph, any charts, or any kind of infographics. It's less of the stories, it's less of the words, it's just the specific data which talk about the work. It's more easier to check out on the numbers, especially. Enhanced decision making. Of course, like I said, if your data is supporting your outcomes, if your data is supporting your actions, so anyone can be very much, can rely on your workings, can rely as a NGO professionals on your efforts rather. So it automatically, data driven insights are always great support uh, for the right decisions. It's more easier to monitor and evaluate your work when you have the data. Like, take an example, we are working upon educational upliftment of underprivileged students in 6 cities. Three we have worked properly, and two we are in progress, and one has been already achieved. So, see, I'm talking in numbers. It's more easier to get in data. Okay, so I have to put more efforts in where we are in progress, and one is already done. So you have an achievement also. So this is how we can simplify and talk in terms of data. And of course, it's very easier to monitor and evaluate, like I said, working upon the data rather than on the stories. Engaging donors and funders, like I said, visual storytelling is one important way of telling your efforts or presenting your testimonials of already done work. So it becomes very easier to demonstrate your impact. What change have you brought after your working? So, like I've already mentioned, their donors and funders want to see the real world impact of their contribution. If I had donated some amount in any organization, I want to see what they are putting, what is my um, return on the investment. So it is a kind of a satisfaction. Oh, so many people got better food hospitality. Oh, so many girls were given more education. So many people were financed upon their hospitalization, about their medical bills, or etc. etc. So many things. So it becomes a very satisfactory for the people when they see that kind of impact in terms of number, that I'm able to bring so much difference, which is why data visualization speaks much louder than any kind of demonstration given in a verbal way. Easy to digest reports, of course, when data is supported, everyone believes, everyone has a better impact, because financial reports, project outcomes, these are all, it's more easier to showcase your work. Going forward, advocacy and awareness. So raising awareness, creating awareness is again one of an important key performance index for any NGO. Right. So NGO often work on social causes or issues that require widespread attention. So what visualization of data can do, like on issues like poverty, climate change, or human rights. These issues can be are very much relatable and urgent to the public and to the policymakers, and of course to the potential partners as well. So you can create a better awareness by presenting your data in an appropriate manner. It's more easier for them to look out at the numbers, to look at the difference, to look out at the issues which needs an urgent attention. Influencing policy, like I'll give an example. If the Am I audible? Hope my screen is visible. Okay, so I'm not really sure where we hanged on, but I'll just take up this point again. Engaging
Yeah, yeah,
donors
please.
and funders, we were discussing about. Oh, Prasanti, we were connected till this?
Yeah, we were connected till this. I'm so
Yes,
sorry
so I'll
for
just
the technical glitch.
reiterate. No, absolutely fine. That keeps happening. I think all the users can understand that as well. So I'll reiterate what we were discussing on this slide, that it becomes very easier for the people who are engaged on both the sides to accept the reports and see their contributions have been, fostering so well. Going forward, we'll talk advocacy and awareness. Yes, we were discussing this point when we got disconnected. So, advocacy and awareness, like we said, raising awareness is one of the key performance parameter for any NGOs. And like I've already given an example of visual storytelling, and I want to add one more example. Like, we'll take an example of deforestation rates over time. So, if you want to present through data visualization, what you can do, you can create a map showing deforestation rates over time, highlighting regions with the most significant changes and linking it to your policy decision. So these, maps can be a very important source. It becomes easier for the policymakers to see and see the region where they require an urgent attention or where they have improved in a much better way. Another example, like for local communities, we can use simple colors and infographics to show how deforestation has affected the local wildlife and water resources, making the information more relatable for them and easy to understand. So, what any user who is not from the background of that working requires a very user friendly report and easier to follow. Just by looking at it, they can see, okay, this is the impact they had brought by their efforts, and this is what we need. This needs an urgent attention. Let's say region A needs more attention upon the deforestation, whereas region B has covered enough and are doing better. So that those best practices can be followed in the other regions as well. So that's how data speaks much louder, like I again repeat. Influencing policies, of course, Once the data are at place, your policies will be influential. That will be an add-on for any NGO. Collaboration and engagement. So teams within NGO can use data visualization to discuss progress. There are certain teams who work at the different regions. There are teams who work on the different agendas, on the different issues. They can share the progress reports, insights, and can make collaborative decision based upon that data. Community engagement is like one of an important thing, and we've been discussing upon it that each NGO holds a mission to foster greater community involvement. So it becomes very easy to show your data and how their efforts or inputs are contributing to the NGO's mission. Efficient operations and accountability, of course. Better resource allocation, because in any organization, if we talk about the resources, the resource management, and resource management is an important key for any professionals working within an organization to take care and perform very efficiently, leverage the resources, make the optimum utilization of those resources. So, visualizing data like expenses, donor contributions, or distribution of resources can help NGOs optimize their operations, ensuring funds and resources are being allocated where they are needed most. Building trust. NGOs that regularly publish visual reports on their activities and results show transparency, which can help build credibility and accountability with stakeholders, including the beneficiaries, donors, and the general public. So, the more you create visibility about the work, about the outcomes, the more people get attracted. Whether you talk about the donors, you talk about the contributors, the volunteers required in any NGOs. It's very, very important to build your credibility. We'll summarize this section. So, in a way, data visualization can help NGOs to demonstrate impact, gain donor trust, improve stakeholder communication, monitor progress, strengthen advocacy efforts. Going forward, we'll talk about few examples. I'm so sorry. So UNICEF's data on child mortality is one example how they utilized that. So UNICEF has used data visualization to showcase the global rates of child mortality and the progress towards reducing the preventable deaths. How they did that? They included heat maps, bar charts, and interactive graphics to highlight the regions where the highest and the lowest rates of child mortality was there. How did it help us? It helped it in a very simpler way. We were able to check on the regional disparities, track the progress, where the funding was required more, where were the policies were required to be enhanced, which were the high risk areas, and it was very easier for the audiences to grasp the gravity of the situation. This is the high time that these areas require an urgent attention. So the raw data was very well scrutinized, cleaned, and presented in a manner where it was very easy to see the real time basis impact of child mortality. World Health Organization during COVID-19, we all have seen on news, there was a dashboard presented on news channels where we could see the deaths, the cases, upcoming cases, and it was very alarming impact on everybody, on all the viewers rather. We all have gone through that phase. So that was the impact of data visualization, a very, very real-time basis example, which you can relate how well data visualization can impact on the emotions and the awareness of your viewers. So that's how WHO also utilized that, and we all have been on the viewer side, how the global maps were presented on the news channels, showcasing the increase in the cases and the death rates. And then certainly let's talk about the positive aspect. when the vaccination started. Oh my God, it was very, very overwhelming for everybody around to see this much percentage of people were vaccinated, and now there is a hope to overcome that pandemic. So how we related with that? Those were the dashboards that so beautifully and so informatively prepared dashboard using these data visual tools by WHO that impacted, and many other organizations followed that same footstep. So real-time information to the public, to the government, to the health organization, and it provided a kind of transparency in guiding us upon the responses for the uh, for what we have to do further. Red Cross disaster and relief data. So Red Cross uses again the real-time data visualization to map disaster areas, track relief efforts, and reports on resources distributed in response to emergencies like earthquakes. We often see every year, even for floods and all, they use that. So these visuals include maps with overlaid data, pointing the locations where they are supplying shelters, they're giving the foods, the participation of volunteers are affected. So it motivates the other people also to work upon as a volunteer and give their contribution to strengthen their supplies. So that's an impact they build by, showing that real-time data that this is where we are and this is what support we require and this is how we are engaging in a very, very enhanced manner and an active manner, rather proactive manner. Global partnership for education. So this GPE also uses educational progress data to highlight the educational disparities and track progress in improving access to education worldwide. So it becomes very easy, for them to get the funds, more funds and support for education initiatives. In fact, rather, I would say, any kind of issue, like let's talk about the health, the education, poverty, any natural calamities, anything, everything has numbers, and numbers are always raw, inconsistent, scattered. So the more efficiently we gather that data, clean that data, and present it to the um, our audiences, we always get a better response. We always get the better response as an organization. I'll summarize this for you. Why these examples work, like I said, clarity, storytelling, transparency, engagement, actionable insights. So these examples are a kind of torchbearer for the other NGOs who are in a very progressive manner moving towards enhancements of their work styles and of their internal infrastructure that use data visualization tools. You will see a great impact on the numbers you are to ask for the support or rather to showcase your work. Moving forward, this is a very important section, because with these so-called digitalized and enhanced tools comes your challenges. And we have to propose the right solution to make the optimum utilization of these tools available. So, like I said, one important challenge is lack of data quality and consistency because usually NGOs have a very inconsistent flow of data, incomplete, unreliable. Why I'm saying unreliable? Because it could be from any kind of, those are not completely accountable people, probably, or maybe any kind of sources you're getting the data, and it's absolute raw. Now, what to do with that data? You have collected the n number of details, but what to do with it? So, it's very important. First step, clean your data. Train your staff very well how to clean the data, how to present that data in data management, rather in short, is very important skill you need to train upon each and every staff involved in managing your data operations. Use of automated tools like Excel. MS Excel is one very simple thing. Before moving ahead, everybody in your organization should be very well equipped with MS Excel skills, rather advanced MS Excel skills. So data cleaning, training of the staff, and these automated tools will help your data to get in a place where oh, okay, these are the conclusions. These are the synopsis from the data and how now what we have to do. The next steps are much easier if this first step comes at place. Another challenge, access to data and data's loss. Uh, so data can be very well, it could be 100 people working on same issues with that same strategy, same goals. And now everybody is using their own data in their own way. So it will bring a kind of uncertainty in your data management. First and the simplest thing, centralize your data repository. How? Bring it in a central form that all the data has to be at one place. Fix collaboration across your teams. Make a team accountable to bring the data at one platform, in a way, central platform. So this depository of the data will help you not to, not to get in any way diverted on your data. You have the right access to the data, the raw data, and now the second step is you can clean the data and bring your synopsis. So data centralization is again a very important thing that you need to work upon it. Oversimplification or misleading visuals. Yes, very important thing. Once your data is centralized, you have the complete um, set of your data. It has been cleaned. Now you have all and everything in hand. All the charts are presented. Now, do not make it in a way that, you're misleading the visuals, distorting the scales of the graph, or for example, or misleading by the colors red, blue, orange. Usually I've seen people making Excel sheets with different colors, and there's no standardization in presenting those graphs. Make the graphs in a way that those graphs are standard. The color coding is standard. Make it very clear in terms of kind of formatting that these principles have to be used to present certain information so that your stakeholders also get used to read those reports. And it becomes easier for the validation of insights also. So make like once, I'll again repeat the first step. You made the data centralization, cleaned your data, make the principles for presenting your data, right? Audience diversity and understanding, very important. Like I said, you may be working with a lot of stakeholders, donors, fundraisers, volunteers, uh, government officials, community members, everybody from the different background, different efficiencies of data literacy. Right. So how do we make it so in a way that everybody is easily able to read your data? Make it in a segmented way. Make the segments visuals. Like if suppose you want to make it in a way donors, government officials, community members, staff, or volunteers, or your any other XYZ stakeholders, make the segments so that I am able to read my section. Let's say if I want one step ahead, I have the segments known and I can choose those any to read that data. So I'm not getting lost in terms of your huge data visualization. Storytelling approach, of course, is one. Again, repeatedly I said, like I've already mentioned it also. Storytelling connects emotionally with stakeholders and the public. Show your impact. Tell your stories, what you're going to do with your funds. What impact would you bring? What issue are you trying to deal for the society, to give back to the society? Interactive visuals. In any case, human beings have a tendency to see and remember, to hear and remember. This is something, the highest efficient senses we have. So if we have interactive visuals, right, it becomes very easier for any unknown to see and remember. Maybe not once, but I'm sure with repeated telecast, certainly it will bring an impact. Data overload, very important thing. In any case, overload is always hazardous. So always try that your data talks on key metrics over about core understanding of your audiences. If we are talking about a certain section, so let's make the charts in a way that key metrics are already informed, pointed, so that it's not so uneasy. It's very user friendly rather when metrics are very much clear. Progressive disclosures. So in any case, data can be engaging, intuitive, can give you the analysis of the trends, forthcoming trends. So you have to be very sure what you're presenting. Limit the number of visuals. It should not be, one by one, it's just the visuals coming. It has to be, very, very appropriated number. Like if you talk about this slide, what I have done, I have just used the issue, the challenge, data overload. Now I'm talking about the problem. I had highlighted the problem and the solution in a very simpler way. I have bolded the three key points, rather my three key metrics. Uh, Focus on key metrics, progressive disclosure, limit the numbers of visuals. So it's very easier, even if I don't talk much upon the slide. I mean, by visuals, you can read and get a key point that, yeah, we should talk on overload about these solutions. Inconsistent data across region and projects, like we have already spoken in my first challenge, which we discussed, that, first and the second one, rather, both, that standardization of data collection is very important if suppose you want to avoid any kind of data discrepancies in your organization. Train your staff, create regional visuals. In a way, I would say, or rather conclude, that standardize your data in a way that you can check the track, the trends, and can measure the impacts, right? So the objective is actually to track the trends and measure the impact, right? So your data should be aligned with this goal only. And of course, to do this, you need to train your staff in a very, very appropriate manner, in a very, very highly skilled manner, that they are easily able to follow the footsteps what you require upon it. Measuring long-term impact. Again, in any case, whatever efforts we are putting, rather whatever investments we do in terms of tangible, non-tangible, qualitative, quantified efforts, we want to measure an impact. What is the effectivity of anything which we are doing? So this is one important challenge, how to do it. Rather, we have showcased our work, everything is fine. So monitoring and tracking is one important thing which needs to be applied here when you want to talk about your long term impact. So use progress indicators, show trends over time, tell the story of change. These are the three important key points which you need to keep in mind while you want your data to speak loudly about your work, rather, right? So, in case if you have budget constraints, like often organizations suffer because the NGOs are dependent on the funds which we get through the donations. So, I will never recommend, that you go and buy some very costly tool. There are many such free tools available wherein, you can make your work in an efficient manner. And if suppose you require in any way an enhanced version, then you can go for the paid subscriptions. So use those free tools, open source softwares. Like in my coming slides, I'll talk about what are the free platforms available which you can use and enhance your working patterns. We'll talk about key strategies for effective data visualization in NGOs now. Define the objective and audience. Identify the purpose, like we have already spoken while we were talking about our challenges and the solutions aligned to them. That always be very sure what you want to present, what you want to do. So identify the purpose. Are you trying to raise awareness, secure funding, or track progress? Segment the audience. Tailor visualization based on audience's expertise and interest. Like, remember, we spoke about segmenting our data, right? So that is how, it becomes more user friendly data, very easy for any stakeholder to read the data reports. Select the right metrics. Very, very important point again. Focus on data points that align with the NGO's mission and the audience's need. So this is how you will reduce the chances and the errors of data overload. Example, you can use line graph for policymakers showing vaccination trends over time, and infographics for the public highlighting the numbers of children vaccinated. Choose the right visualization type. So now you have variety of things to put, but you can't put everything, or rather anything randomly. So you have to choose. You have to select the most appropriate and apt one. Bar chart for comparing quantities. So you should be very sure ki what is the significance of each and every tool or each and every graph or chart available with you. You can use line graphs, you can use pie chart for showing the proportions, heat map, scatter plot. These I've already shown you in my first few slides. Keep it simple and clean. In my challenges also, I shared this with you that, keep it simple, clean, and make a standardization of your color coding or your charts or your graphs so that your staff is also gets used to in dealing with those uh, coding, and also the readers, right? White space matters. So these are the few points, kind of an example I have chosen. Like I showed you, for regions you can use one color for every region, or however you want to utilize it, so that color coding within the team is very clear. Provide context in annotations, title and subtitle, data source, annotations. Uh, so if I say what are these in a simple way, these are the standards. We have formatted our report rather. So make a kind of a simpler format where your people in the organization know this is the format we have to follow while we are presenting our data. Make it interactive and accessible, of course. Interactive dashboards, like we gave an example of WHO, how they were presenting the data during COVID-19. Drill down capability, provide a high level overview with options to explore more details. Mobile friendly, of course, very, very important thing. These days, whatsoever we are using on the systems, talking about the computers and laptops, it needs a mobile compatibility. So ensure whenever you are releasing any of your reports, it is accessible on the mobiles for the users. So, an example for this interactive, I really want to recommend, highly recommend rather, an interactive Power BI dashboard that allow users to view progress by region, year, funding source. These are the few examples pertaining to NGO, but certainly you can elaborate this. It is a very, very highly explosive manner of presenting your data. Do try and go for Power BI trainings in your organization. Combine data with storytelling. Again and again, I've been repeating, storytelling is a very, very important way. So testimonials you can bring, include direct quotes from the beneficiaries, narrative flow, start with the problem, show the solution, highlight the impact. So, we started with the problem, challenge, we introduced the solution, and now, we're showcasing the impact. It's so easy to follow. The steps are very easy to follow, rather. Emotional connection. So wherever we're working upon any issues which is aligned to the social drawbacks, social gaps, uh, it is always somewhere aligned to our emotional and social needs. Try and connect with that in terms of the number. It will always help you. In fact, we always work in organization on the numbers, but we somewhere lack in presenting and showing those numbers back to the society. There, this is where we were standing. This is what impact we have brought. So play with that. Definitely it's gonna bring a huge difference in your working. Example, like I've already quoted, instead of 500 wells built, he can create a story. Fatima, mother of three, no longer walks 5 miles daily for water, thanks to the new wells built in her village. So just one line I have mentioned, it's telling a story, a painful story of Fatima, mother of three. What a homemaker or mother goes through managing the daily household chores, and now that her those her painful journey has been reduced now. Right now, she doesn't have to walk so long to get water. So it speaks, it somewhere connects. So that creativity is also very important when you are playing with your data. Test and validate the visuals, very important stakeholder feedback. whatever work we are doing, it should always be progressive. There's always a scope of enhancement, there's always a scope of development. Keep taking the feedbacks, working upon your data accuracy, because the numbers cannot be wrong in any way. After all, what we are working for and what we are working within is all about the numbers. Interpretation test, adjust based on feedback. So what are we doing with the feedbacks? That is also kind of a quantitative data we are taking. Work on those feedbacks. Your users can tell you best how your data is looking, what you have made out of it. Work on those feedbacks. Be open to the constructive feedbacks, rather constructive criticism as well. So that's how you will able to enhance this very important skill set of data visualization. In summary, clear visuals increase engagement and understanding, and accurate data build trust with stakeholders. So it's not just building trust, it is also being transparent. So your data accuracy is very important to bring your reliability and your authenticity to the stakeholders. Interactive elements empower stakeholders to explore insights independently. So here we have summarized our one important section, key strategies, and now we'll talk about the best tools used for data visualization. And I'm sure this is going to be very interesting for everyone who is on there and will view this session of mine. Google Data Studio, it is a very easy integration with Google Sheets, Google Analytics, and other data sources. Do try to use this. Tableau Public is one. And of course, this is free, whatever I have mentioned here. So I would have it taken as an example. Power BI, you can use the free version because data cleaning is very easier with Power BI, and it has so many enhanced auto-generated charts and bar charts that it will somewhere sharpen your skill to decide and select your chart. So do try Power BI free version. Infograms, of course. I love Canva because Canva really reduces our pain, to work on the infographics and graphs. So they have already a user-friendly templates and easily available. If you want a newsletter, you want to create a campaign or a kind of one-pager pamphlets, whatever you want to do. I mean, Canva free version will help you to a greater extent. And somehow, if you want to do some enhanced work, you can always go for subscriptions. Google Sheets, real time collaboration on spreadsheets, the teams can work within that without spending penny on it. So that will enhance your team collaboration, and that will of course not just enhance your team collaboration, it will also train them free of cost to work together and bring a kind of centralization in their data. Clipfolio is one, it is also one type of Google Analytics and social media where hundreds of data sources can be worked on. It is also free and I mean good for larger NGOs that need sophisticated reporting capabilities. So you can try on that. Gephi is one, network and graph visuals, real-time visualization and exploration of network, customizable layouts. These all are free to use and open sources. And if suppose you feel that it needs an enhancement, you can go for a paid subscription. And by using these data visualization tools, of course, NGOs in India can more effectively communicate their impact, increase transparency, attract more donors, and can make data driven decisions. Thank you so much. I'm done for this session, and I wish everybody tries to, move along with the society in terms of data digitalization as well, because today the demand of the society and global platform rather is how well we are evolved with our technical skills. So do try on these suggestions, and I'm sure it will help you on a long term.
Ma'am, am I audible?
You're audible now. Your voice was cracked. Can you please, I'm so sorry, repeat your question?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay. So, your first question for this session is, what is data visualization and why is it important for non-profit organizations?
Okay, so in a simpler way, it is a process of representing data and information graphically through charts, graphs, maps, and other visual tools. And why is it important? Of course, tracking fundraising progress, you can use these data visualization, measure the impact of their program, communicate success stories to donors and stakeholders, identify area of improvements, make your decisions more data driven, by, of course, it will help you in a longer way your resource allocation also when your data is well maintained and utilized.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for answering that. And your question, second question is, how can data visualization improve decision making in non-profit organizations?
In any way, it allows non-profits to transform raw data into a meaningful insights, making it easier for decision makers to understand trends and outcomes. So, through clear visual representation of data, non-profit organizations can identify which program is performing well, which needs more adjustments, resource allocation, quick changes and challenges that they want to work upon, and can show the impact in a broader way, can develop more strategic plans based on the visualized data trends.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for answering that. So, yes, what are some common challenges faced by non-using data visualization?
So we also discussed during our session, many challenges like budget constraint is one, data quality, engagement. People are working a lot, but they are lacking somewhere in storytelling, and very important, which I have observed, is limited technical expertise. You need to train your staff upon those advanced data analysis and visualization skills.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for answering that. And your next question says, what are the best tools for non-profits to use for data visualization?
I had in my last part of my presentation, I have shared Power
Hmm.
BI, Infogram, Canva is one, Google Data Studio, Excel, Tableau. These are the free of cost available tools which you can do hidden trials upon them.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. And your last question for this amazing question and answer session is, how can data visualization help non-profits engage with donors and stakeholders?
In a very simpler manner, simplifying complex data is one important key aspect which it works upon, presenting complex information into very easy to understand visual format, demonstrating the impact, which is again a very important requirement of any NGO to attract more donors. So, by showcasing the direct outcomes of donations and support through charts and graphs, of course, one thing they have showcased and build the trust, another thing they can attract more support upon that.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for answering that. And also, thank you so much for having patience and answering all the questions. And well, as much as I wish we could continue this conversation for longer, we have now reached the end of our right? Yes. So now we I want to sincerely thank you for sharing your knowledge today. And thank you. And also thank you. We are definitely looking at this up. You can implement in your channels. And I agree by more such impactful sessions on the media and skills and learning full of learning and change. So, take care and bye.
Thank you so much.